Hello, everybody, and welcome back to yet another season of In the Vault. My name is Ryan Parmenter, and I'm joined by my co-host Ryan Conlon.
Yep. All right, so we're gonna start with MLB, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
First, we're gonna talk about the game one of the Mets Braves doubleheader, and man,
One of the
what
best,
a game!
instant classic.
Braves were up 3-0 in the top of the eighth. The Mets go and score six in the top of the
Yeah,
eighth,
top of the eighth.
and then get this. Ed Luz Diaz comes into the
Can't call
bottom
him
of the
that
eighth.
anymore.
I mean, we still kind of
Yeah,
can because
he
he almost
sucks,
lost the
but-
game. But, anyways, Ed Luz Diaz comes in with one out in the bottom of the eighth and absolutely blows it. I mean, like, they
Outs
immediately
away.
they were 5 outs away from winning that game, and Edwin Diaz immediately just blows the lead, gives up a 2-run righty double to Ozzy Albies, of all people.
With 5 RBIs.
Who did have 5 RBIs. He played a fantastic game yesterday, but
Only been off the IL for a month at
Yeah.
this point, so.
and not only that, so Mets are down they're down one. They're down 7-6 in the top of the ninth.
And then,
and then-
who else do you expect for this Mets team all season long? It's Francisco Lindor, and it was him again yesterday.
With one out, 2 strikes, I believe.
Yeah,
I mean, it was just a great game all around. And then Edwin Diaz,
locked
Lit-
it down. Little
di-
shaky.
di-
I mean, his
little
control
shaky.
his control was just bad the whole entire outing. But I mean, he was like leaving pitches over the plate, and he wasn't that sharp. But I mean, just an incredible
and
performance
Diaz also
by the offense.
Diaz was also throwing 94 with no inverted vertical break. So I mean, that's not something that you really want to see.
Mm-hmm.
And then game 2, it was really nothing.
I mean, Chris
nothing,
Sale,
nothing
scratch,
to write. Yeah,
back
Chris Sale
spasms.
scratching back spasms, but
I mean, you could tell. I to be honest, I think even if
Chris
like
Sale.
Chris Sale pitched, I think even like the way things were going, I thought the Braves were gonna win that game just like from the start. I mean, you can't really expect a better outing out of Grant Holmes there. Like 4 innings, no runs, 7 strikeouts is really good for a spot starter in
Not
like
to
the most important game of your season.
Not to mention, Sale also not being there didn't really end up mattering because
Yeah.
the Mets put their B lineup in. But something that I do want to talk about is that Nimmo situation. Did you hear about that?
Yeah, Michael Harris. Yeah.
So,
Wait,
no,
is it that?
no.
Oh no.
So-
we could talk about that later.
So Brandon Nimmo is usually a hustle player. He runs a hard 90 out of the
Right.
box on walks. However, he grounds the ball to second base and does not fully run it out. Now, Albies has trouble getting it out, and if Nimmo fully runs out, he's probably safe. But here's the issue.
What was the situation?
Here's the issue. Nimmo slowed up right as he was getting to the base and was called out. But upon further review, if you look at the broadcast, he was safe, easily.
Mhm.
But the Mets decided not to challenge. So, and then if you can look, and then at the end of the game, both the Mets and the Braves celebrated on the field. Now, I don't know about you, but
I saw that.
that seems a bit fishy, if you know what I
Yeah.
mean. I mean,
Yeah.
it,
I mean-
it seems like collusion, kind of.
I wouldn't put too much stock into it, but it
No,
does seem a little weird.
I wouldn't put too much stock into it if they weren't division rivals. But the fact that they're division
and
rivals,
especially the way that the Mets season has
been,
basically
yeah.
ended in Atlanta, like since like 2021, actually since like 2018, the Mets and Braves have been like it's been different. I mean, they've always been rivals, but the last couple years when the Mets seasons were just basically destroyed in Atlanta, I was surprised to see that.
yeah, no, it was just confusing. Because imagine if the Yankees and the Red Sox did that. I mean,
Yeah, that would just
heads
never
would
happen.
roll. Heads would
Especially,
roll.
I mean, in a New York fan base too. I mean,
Yeah, even the Boston
Yeah.
one too. I mean,
Yeah.
they both hate each other.
and I know Atlanta's passionate about baseball as well.
And the thing is with Met fans, from what I've seen, they didn't seem to care really, which is honestly kind of weird.
Yeah.
But anyways,
Wait. I want to say one more thing. Speaking about the Brandon Nimmo like hustle incident, did you see what Carlos Correa did? You didn't see that? It was
oh,
right,
oh
so-
yeah, I know what
so
you're talking about. Ground ball to the
Marlins.
pitcher.
Yep, and he didn't hustle. I mean, it was a different situation. That was just for them to even have like stay in the hunt to even make the playoffs.
No,
The Mets-
they were limited by that, I believe.
No, they had like a outside chance of making it in, but like later on that night they lost their chances. But like it's a similar situation. I feel like that's like a problem in baseball altogether, not just with the Mets.
Hustling out, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, I feel like the Mets one was intentional. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no way that it wasn't. And it's kind of confusing. I mean, it wouldn't really matter because the next out was a ground out
Yeah.
to short, so it would have been a double play regardless. But it's just confusing.
Mhm.
Now, on to today. So there were some notable postseason roster moves. Justin Verlander and Chris Hill were both left off of the Braves and Astros rosters respectively. What do you think about that?
I mean, I'm not really surprised to see Chris Sale because I mean, you could tell. I mean, I don't know if you saw. There was a lot of buzz around how his last outing against the Reds, his velo was down to like
90
around 92, 94.
Not even. He was down to 8. His lowest pitch was an 88 mile per hour four-seam fastball.
And like, I mean, that's like a lot. I mean, he was like sitting 96, 97. So when you have a guy that age, a guy who's pitched like the most innings that he's pitched in like 3 or 4 years, you can't.
Actually, since the Red Sox won
Yes,
the World Series,
yeah.
really.
And
Oh
I
my
mean,
God, that was like what, 6 years ago?
Yep. I mean, you can't really play around with that. I mean, I
Yeah.
think that was the right decision.
I'm surprised they didn't limit his innings earlier in the season, though. I mean,
And I mean, for Verlander,
I'm not really surprised.
if you
'cause
watch Verlander,
he's been
I'm
terrible
sorry to
this year.
say he's the last pitcher to win an MVP, probably one of the last pitchers to win an MVP. But I mean, you can't like you just can't put him on the roster. Like he
He's been
can't get
flat
anything
out
by
horrible.
anyone. His fastball, like what people would rave about Verlander is that like his fastball would like stay consistently in the high 90s like throughout the entire game, but like
He's just lost
it's
all
just been
that.
he lost all that. And I mean, I can't really blame him. I think he's like 41. So
I
like
believe
a
he's
41-year-old
39?
pitcher, you can't really like you
He's
can't
41, yeah.
I mean, that's kind of what I expected from the Astros there. So those were two, I mean, notable but expected moves from the respective teams.
I mean, looking at Justin Verlander's page, the only thing he's elite at one thing and only above average at two. His walk percentage and barrel percentage and hard hit percentage are both at 6.8% and 6.9%, but his hard hit percentage is at a ridiculous 32.5%, which is great, which is elite, by the way.
Yeah.
But it's just the fact that his fastball, his off speed, and his breaking pitches have done basically next
know,
to nothing.
I would have liked to see him start against the Tigers, to be honest, because I mean, all the history there, that would have been pretty cool. But like, I don't really blame them for doing what they did.
Real quick for you guys, the Detroit Tigers have taken a 2-0 lead on the Astros in the top of the second inning. Trey Sweeney, Somerset Patriots legend, singled on a sharp line drive to center field. Parker Meadows scored, and Jake Rogers singled on a ground ball, scored Wencel Perez.
All right, so that's an interesting development to watch for. So what do you want to talk about next? You want to talk about that game
We'll talk about
or the matchups?
we'll talk about the matchups today. So
Okay.
at 4:08 p.m., the Royals and Orioles play each other.
Out of all I don't know about you, but out of all the matchups, that's the one I'm most excited
Yeah,
for.
I mean,
probably I might be a little biased because that's who the Yankees play, but I mean, like, two of my favorite team plays, but I mean, I'm also just interested. The Royals, I mean, incredible turnaround, incredible season. Vinny Pasquantino possibly coming back. I think that's
No, he did come back. He
yeah,
did come
coming back. That's a huge development for the Royals because, like, yeah, they have Bobby Witt and Salvador Perez, but behind, like, when Pasquantino's RBI presence was there behind Bobby Witt, like, his power numbers were significantly better. And in the month of September, you could tell he was really missing Pasquantino because his, I believe he only hit 2 home runs in September when he had a legitimate chance for, like, 35-35 or even 40-40. But, I mean, that's actually a huge resurgence for the Royals there.
And the Tigers score again. Matt Vierling hits an RBI single to center field.
3-0 lead against Tarek Schoolboy is going to be hard for the Astros to
They are
build
not
something
coming
there.
back. And then at 5, these are some odd start times. At 5:32 p.m., the Mets and Brewers play. That should be an interesting series because the Mets have a great offense, but they do not have good pitching.
No, I mean, you have Severino, and I don't know who's lined up for Game 2. I would assume it would probably be Manaea, but because he hasn't pitched since the last time they played the Brewers. But one thing that you could watch out for is, I mean, Manaea just pitching against the Brewers. He's playing them again. Like, you're seeing the same pitcher for like twice in like 2 weeks. That might help the Brewers like with an advantage there.
Yeah, and tomorrow's probable starters haven't been released yet, so.
I think it depends probably on what happens.
Yeah, I
that's an
think if the
elimination
Mets are up 1-0 in the series, I don't think they will throw Manaea in. I think they will let it go to Game 3, let their pitchers rest a bit.
I mean, if you think about it, like, think about what the Mets have done this year. I this is going a little off track, but you look at Manaea, like, you did not expect him to have the year he had. 3.23 ERA. I mean, ridiculous stats. You have Severino coming off, like, multiple seasons where he hasn't even thrown 150 innings. and just comes back with like not an elite season, but definitely a quality one. And I mean,
again,
and I think I don't want to like go too much into detail about it, but I think what he needed was really a reset from New York. I mean, not a reset from New York, but a reset from the Yankees, because I feel like the Yankees just weren't the right fit for him at the time. I mean, what was transpiring with the injuries and stuff, and like when he got moved to the bullpen, there was like I feel like he needed a fresh start, and the Mets definitely provided that.
I mean, again, it's been like this for the entirety of the Mets season. I mean, their best player heading into this, their second to best player going into this year has been probably one of their worst, Pete Alonso.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been horrible.
The last 2 months he hasn't done anything.
I've heard that Mets fans, they've not been happy with him. He's not running out. He's been terrible at the plate.
His defense has been actually above average.
And when Pete Alonso is not good is not hitting home runs, what value does he provide? What value does he provide?
And then he expects to get
Play time.
$250+ million in the offseason.
If I'm a team, I am not giving Alonso north of $200 million.
Yeah,
that's
I
just
agree
me though.
with that.
And then the final game for the night is Padres versus Braves, and the Braves. Man, I don't know what else to say because they have.
Who do they have? My question. I know the Padres have Michael King pitching, which is really exciting to see him. I mean, incredible year. So I mean, that trade obviously worked out for the Yankees and Padres. But I don't know who the Braves. I mean, who would they start at this point? Max Fried.
Their probable starters: A.J. Smith-Shawver, who's.
When did I guess Max Fried would pitch the elimination game.
He's pitched
Did he pitch like recent?
He's pitched 4 1/3 innings this season with 4 Ks. So I mean,
I'd
I don't know.
be a little concerned about that, especially with the Padres. Especially with what the Padres bring to the table offensively.
And Michael King, who has made one start against the Braves. The Braves batters are this is career, not this season. Michael King is Atlanta Braves batters are 1 for 10 and have 3 Ks off of Michael King. So I don't think that
this is gonna go too well.
I don't think this is gonna go too well. So tomorrow the Braves might even have to have you start for them. I'm not sure. They've legitimately no pitching. Their offense is semi-redeemable, but even then it's not that good.
Even then, I mean, you're missing out on think about the injuries. I mean, Austin Riley, he wasn't expected to come back at this point anyway, but healing slower than expected. Acuna, Strider, obviously Albies for a while, and now Sale. This team's been plagued by it all year. So, I mean, for them to even get as far as they did, it's pretty impressive.
In my opinion, I wasn't surprised that Sale got injured.
Fried,
Fried, I mean, he's been insanely injury prone. But I'm just surprised that Sale hasn't been injured earlier this season due to the he's 36, I believe?
Yeah, and he's pitched 21 games too, which is, I mean, that's a lot. And I mean, I don't know what is going on in Atlanta, but I mean, clearly something's a little off.
They're definitely getting set. Okay, so do you have any series predictions for this?
For the series or for the game?
For the series.
Okay, so
Tigers and Astros.
Tigers, Astros. I mean, even with how this game is going so far, I'm gonna have to go with the Astros just because you still have the core roster of players with experience in the playoffs. I mean, even Framber Valdez, their starter in this game.
Been shaky to start, but
3 runs. I mean, the one thing I'd be a little worried about with the Astros is their bullpen. I mean, Josh Hader has been frequently
he's been terrible.
He's been frequently prone to blowing games late in important games as well. So I'd be a little concerned about that, but I feel like their lineup might be able to come through in these next 2 games.
In my opinion, I think the Tigers are going to absolutely dog walk them. I mean, the Tigers were not
good
supposed
for Detroit, though.
The Tigers are not supposed to be good. Let me remind you, the Tigers sold at the deadline. They sold, and they still made the playoffs. I mean, I don't really know what else to say. I mean, this team has been a team of destiny, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
If the Yankees, which I'm a fan of, by the way, if the Yankees don't win the World Series, I want the Tigers to win. The Tigers are a very fun and an enjoyable team. They also have my favorite pitcher in baseball, pitching for them currently in Tarik Skubal.
I would say if I had to pick a team that I want to win the World Series, besides for the Yankees, obviously, because I'm a Yankees fan. I mean, I know it's in the same league, but I got to go with the Kansas City Royals. I mean, they're just so fun to watch.
They're a team that cheats, by the way. So.
It's not proven. It's not proven.
It's not proven, but I mean, just look at their home and road splits. But
I will say that atmosphere in Kansas City is
100%
unrivaled. And also, I mean, they're just fun to. I love the story of Lugo coming back and just having like coming fresh off a free agent deal, wanting to prove
Yeah,
himself.
I'm gonna be
and
honest.
having a tremendous year.
I did not think that Lugo deal was gonna work out at all. I thought that was gonna be a terrible deal for the Royals. They gave him what 3 years, 36.
Something like that.
Yeah, I believe they gave him 3 years, $36 million, and he's outperformed that contract like crazy. He doesn't, and he was leading ERA for
He was
a
in
good
the ERA for a
while,
while.
but
I mean,
he's been fantastic this year. I mean,
I think
nothing else really to say about
and
it.
also, I mean, how much did the Royals win that or all this Chapman trade with Cole Reagans? I mean, turning him into a 200 inning starter with like a little under like 3.5 ERA. I mean, second in the league in strikeouts behind Skubal. I mean, like you can't ask for more than that from a guy coming off like he was primary relief last year. Still the second half of last year when he was tremendous.
All right, now on to the Royals and Orioles series. We just talked about the
Mhm.
Royals, so we'll talk about the Orioles. So what are your thoughts on the Orioles? In my opinion, I don't think. I think that pitching staff is very shaky. Corbin Burns has
Not look good.
his stats, his overall stats look good, but if you look at his his underlying stats, they do not look good at all. He has been hit hard, but luckily the Orioles defense has been able to bail him out, or he's been extremely lucky. He is due for regression, and I believe that the Royals will actually make that regression happen. I mean, I don't like the Royals, but I don't like the Orioles more. I prefer the Royals over the Orioles, in my opinion.
I agree with you in the sense that I want the Royals to advance past the Orioles, but I mean, to be honest, I'm just gonna have to like make the safer pick. I'm gonna pick the Orioles to win, but just because I feel like the Royals, I mean, they have some presence there. The Salvador Perez has been in this situation before, obviously, incredible player, incredible leader. But I mean, I feel like that pitching staff, I know they have, and especially the bullpen actually. I mean, you have Lugo and Reagans going game. Reagans is going game 1, but I mean, I'd be a little concerned, just like the Astros, about that bullpen like holding up against that Orioles lineup. But I mean, if I had to pick, I'd want the Royals to win. But.
Yeah, in my opinion, though, I think the Orioles will win, but I believe it'll be 3 games instead of 2. The reason why I say that is because the Royals have more pitching depth than the Orioles do.
And if you're thinking about who's going to start Game 3, I guess it would be Brady Singer probably for the Royals.
Brady Singer is good.
Either Brady Singer or Michael Wacha.
Yeah. What I think is going to happen is Brady Singer's going to start. If he gets into any amount of trouble, Michael Wacha is going to come in and do long relief.
Yeah.
All right, and then for the next series, the Mets versus Brewers, who do you think is going to win that one?
Get back to me. You go first. Let me think.
All right, so again, as I said earlier, the Mets offense is fantastic, but their pitching is very, very iffy, especially their bullpen. Edwin Diaz and Adam Ottavino have been very, very shaky this season, and I don't know. And if I'm, what's his name?
Carlos Mendoza.
If I'm Carlos Mendoza, I don't know if I can trust those two coming out of the bullpen.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with you there. I feel like Milwaukee is like, it's a team like you see a lot of high energy guys on that team. Not that the Mets aren't, but I mean Willy Adames, William Contreras, Rhys Hoskins, guys that have been in situations before like this. I mean, like they've all played for winning teams. William Contreras, the Braves, Rhys Hoskins, the Phillies, Willy Adames, Rays.
Yeah.
But they've all been in situations like I feel like that's like invaluable when it comes to the playoffs. So if I'm making the choice, I'm gonna go ahead and choose Brewers to win the series.
Yeah, I mean I also choose Brewers. The only thing that the Mets have is
not that I wouldn't want to watch two New York teams respectively going deep into the playoffs.
I just don't see the Mets.
But I just don't see that. I mean, that pitching's held up for so long. I feel like eventually with the best of the best, it's gonna fall apart.
That team has also been very, very lucky.
Yeah.
So I don't trust that team very much to go very far. And then Braves versus Padres. I mean, is there really anything we need to say?
Nope.
I mean,
I mean
it's gonna be Padres are gonna sweep.
Yeah.
So that will do it for the MLB segment, and we'll be back in a few minutes with the NBA segment.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the inaugural episode of the new season of In the Vault. I'm Evan
Love
Florick. I'm here with Ryan Conlon. I mean, you just finished MLB.
Yeah.
We're going to talk a little bit about the NBA.
basketball.
That's right. So, the season's about to start up, and we just saw one of the biggest trades we've seen in a hot minute
Right.
here. Karl
Right.
Anthony Towns to the Knicks.
Mhm.
What do you think about that? How do you think that affects the Knicks?
I mean, I think it's an interesting deal. I mean, I think a lot of it, I don't know if you agree with me or not, but I think a lot of it, like, falls on the shoulders of Mitchell Robinson. I mean, you see Mitch's inability to stay healthy. I mean, I feel like that could really affect the Knicks. But overall, I mean, it brings a lot of, like, it brings some size. It depends on where Tom Thibodeau wants to use Cat. I mean, the 4, the 5. I mean, I don't know where that would end up playing out, but I feel like it's going to be a beneficial move for the Knicks in the long run. I mean, they needed a guy to put them over the top. I mean, last year falling a little short, and I mean, the Celtics are always going to be there, so need something to put them over the top. I think Cat could do just that.
No, I think this does a couple of things for the Knicks. I think obviously this is one of the most talented lineups in the NBA right now,
Mhm.
but I do think it poses one minor problem is that they really don't have an interior presence. You look at
Right.
this team, you look at some great defenders. You look at Mikal
OG,
Bridges and
incredible.
OG Anunoby.
Credible two-way defender.
Even Cat outside of Cat going into the league was really he was posed for his defending.
Yeah.
But you don't see that all that much
No.
in the league nowadays. But he's not a liability on defense for sure.
No.
But none of them really are interior defenders at all. No,
I mean, OG's more of a perimeter defender. I mean,
so is Mikal. So
yeah, definitely.
so is Cat generally, and I mean, you
Cat's,
got
I mean, Cat. I think they could turn him into an interior presence, but I feel like, I mean, they really need Mitch to step up.
they
and,
really need
yeah.
Mitch to be
That's
that
why I said
to be
that.
like a great six man.
Because I mean, if he's not gonna. To be fair to him, a lot of his injuries have occurred like, not of his own fault, of like
Right.
of just floor deficiencies.
Of course.
And, I mean, I wouldn't put a lot of that on him, but I mean, they need him to step it up more in terms of the health, because that could be this team's fault when they come to play in the conference finals against the Celtics. I mean, you need that interior presence, not just those guys on the outside like OG and Mikal.
No, for sure. If they want to get out of the East, they've got to top some teams who are ridiculous interior presences. Take a look at the Celtics. You've got a few of the best finishers in the game, really. You've
Right.
got Jason Tatum. You got Jaylen Brown. You got really. I'm not sure
Jrue
if this
Holiday.
takes them out of the East. Really,
Yeah.
I think there's a very good chance they've got one of the best
Yeah,
starting
that's why I
fives in
said
the
I'm
NBA.
not sure.
However, I think losing DiVincenzo is also terrible for them. We saw the impact that he had
Yes.
in
But
that in like this
In those
year's
playoffs,
playoffs because think about it, 9 threes in one game. That's an NBA record
Right.
set by Dante DiVincenzo.
Right. I mean, you can't. I mean, it's not really I saw a report he was like refused to take a lesser
Yeah,
role.
he didn't want the lesser role. So I
Which
can
I mean-
understand why he's out. And I can also understand why Randall's out. He had listen,
I mean, I mean, people have been talking about Randall being out for 2 years. At this point.
I mean, yeah,
I mean,
no.
that was something. I mean, when I saw that, I was like, okay, finally. Like,
He's
I mean,
he's a little
it's
bit
not that-
inconsistent.
it's not that
For sure.
he just doesn't fit. Like, he's just not a good. Like, if you're thinking about a puzzle, Julius Randle was like a square piece going into like one of the pegged poles. Like, he's not he's not like something. He just doesn't fit with this Knicks group. And I mean, I thought DiVincenzo really did. That's why I was sad to see him go. But
Right.
I mean,
Nah, we saw the Nova Knicks for one offseason, and that's it.
if that's what it takes to put this team over the top, which I'm not sure it will, but if that's what Leon Rose is thinking, I mean, I'm excited to see it.
I mean, yeah. Here's another thing I'd like to bring up. The Timberwolves. This is very, very interesting for them. Of course, they lose their guy who's been dedicated for very close to a decade at this point.
a lot
He's
of
been-
young guys now on this team.
A lot of young guys. But I think Randall, while he's not better than Cat. Let's be honest here.
No.
But he brings a veteran presence. He brings a bully ball presence. He might be able to talk Gobert into actually being like aggressive.
Yeah.
Imagine
And then
that.
imagine that defensive skill with
Oh man.
pairing with an aggressive
I
mentality.
mean, Randall is a solid defender.
Right. When he puts effort in.
Right.
Let's put it that way.
So if you take the #1 defense in the league last year and combine it with Julius Randle, I think
Julius
you've
Randle,
genuinely
And
got
then you
something.
got guys like Naz Reid coming off the bench.
Right.
I mean,
No, Nas Reid is still going to be a 6 Man of the Year contender.
Yeah, I mean, Anthony Edwards coming back again. I mean, I'm excited to watch that team play too.
Ant needs to take a step up, but I think
he will.
really the point guards here are going to feast. They have so many guys to assist to. Anthony Edwards is just going to be everywhere, shredding defenses. We know he's going to do that. He's going to take that step up this year. He's going to get close to 28, 30 points a game. He has to, really. Because losing Cat means he just lost his second best scorer. And so, Ant needs to take that step up. But if you're Mike Conley, if you're Rob Dillingham off the bench, if you're
Naz Reid, if you're any of these guys.
right, no, you're looking for Ant, you're looking for Randall, you're looking for DiVincenzo on the wing, because we know he's a great three-point shooter. He's shooting 40% constant. He's going to be shooting 40% again.
Right.
And I think this gives them a very real chance
To come on the East.
Right. Ant's play style isn't built to last. While it's amazing now, he's not going to be doing this for another decade.
No, it's not.
So I
You've
think
seen it
what
many
you need-
times
Right.
in the NBA.
So you're seeing both teams really want to go all in now. I don't think either team necessarily won or lost this trade.
But I think I think like I said at the beginning, I think it was beneficial to both.
Right, for
I
sure.
think it
for sure.
filled the needs that both both were looking for. I think the Knicks needed to get out of the Randall situation. I think and get him. I mean, I guess solidify that star power there, and the Timberwolves needed someone to, I guess, add on to that defense.
Right.
that they have,
Obviously, the Timberwolves
provide an
needed to get rid of
offensive,
Cat's contract.
aggressive offensive presence in Randall.
Yeah. No, I mean, and again, they needed to. We know. Jeez. All right. They needed to get rid of Cat's contract, and they did. I would say they did it well.
Right. Yeah.
Well, we're going to be moving on to football in just a moment. Stay tuned.
And welcome back to In the Vault. I'm Ryan Conlon. I'm with Ryan Parmenter and Evan Florick, and we're going to start talking some NFL, I guess. So, Parm, what do you want to talk about first?
So I'm going to talk about my team and the fact that my quarterback is possibly the second worst quarterback in the NFL. In
The first
the New York
being
Giants.
Will Levis.
No, Bryce Young.
Skylar Thompson.
Yeah, he's pretty bad. Yeah. Anyways, the Cowboys beat the Giants in a 20-15 game that the Giants not score a single touchdown and I think
And got their best player with concussion.
I mean they're not playing for
Yeah.
they're not playing for 10 days, so I don't think it
Yeah.
really matters. So
No, yeah, it doesn't.
But
I mean-
another thing, the reason why I think that this game, that the Giants didn't score a single touchdown is because the Cowboys the Giants are such a terrible passing
Singletary,
offense.
24 rushing yards.
Yeah,
That says all it needs to say.
it's because the Giants are such a terrible passing offense is that they didn't respect the pass at all. So every single player played down low, and only one safety and a corner and some corners bit
I mean,
on any of the routes.
To be fair, I mean, Neighbors still put up 12 for 115, so that's not and on 15 targets. So I mean, I think he's going to continue to get 15 to 17 targets every game.
And
I mean,
I think that the Cowboys, they knew what was going to happen going into this. They've seen their run defense through the first 3 games. It's been bad. It's been very bad. We saw we saw what happened with the Ravens. Derrick Henry and Lamar just ran right through them. We saw Alvin Kamara go for, what, 4 touchdowns?
Yeah.
Oh, man. I mean, it really hasn't been pretty for them. So they knew Daniel Jones. They knew what kind of player he was. Not a good one.
Reeks.
Yeah.
And then you
Terrible.
And you see that, and you see those two, like, frankly, better teams than the Giants, and then you go and see Devin Singletary run for 24 yards as opposed to, I mean, Devin Singletary's never going to be Derrick Henry. We know that, but I mean, that was just a putrid effort from
they
Giants rushing
want
back.
Singletary to be able to do not what Saquon did for them, but anything remotely close to it.
So
And we're
not get injured.
Pretty much, yeah.
Well, I mean, you could point a lot of that injury towards overuse
They
because
needed-
the Giants were so inept at passing. that
No,
they-
no, no, and get this. The Giants have a terrible O-line for every single year that Saquon Barkley is on the Giants. And as soon as Saquon Barkley the Giants have a top 10 O-line. I hate this team.
Oh, man.
And then you see what he's doing
Ain't
with
that
the
something?
Philly.
And then another thing is the fact that, the wide receivers also did not help. If
I mean,
Wandale
Wan'Dale
Robinson,
Robinson looked
if Wandale
awesome.
Robinson is not 5'8", the Giants win this game. I'm sorry, but that's just true.
I mean, I will say though, he looked awesome. I mean, if he could be that
dropped
compliment.
a wide open pass over the middle
Yeah.
field, but
But I mean, he did. If he could be a complementary piece to Neighbors, I mean, I could see this offense. I mean, if Danny can play like at least serviceably like he did against the Browns, I think I could see this offense and the way the offensive line's been playing. If they could just run the ball even a little bit, I think they would find some more success.
all right, on to the Chiefs and Chargers game, and man, Patrick Mahomes has not looked good this year. And not to mention,
245 for 1 TD and an interception,
he leads
while
the league in
taking out his
turnovers, I
best
believe.
receiver.
Rashid Rice, luckily, did not tear anything. So he has saved multiple fantasy seasons, including Evan and mine.
Oh, man, I know.
But issue is, it's Chiefs are concerned whether if it's a bone bruise or a PCL strain or maybe even both, which it's looking like to be both.
Oh, man. But I think that really the Chiefs, I'm not going to go out and say anything about these NFL refs. However, I think there are a couple of little controversial calls that have been made. And I think
Just a couple.
that this is some of the best defense that the Chiefs have played in the Mahomes era at all. We saw it last year.
I mean, the defense has always played pretty well. I mean, if you look at it last year, the defense is what carried them through the playoffs to the Super Bowl. I mean, shutting down Lamar.
Hey man,
shutting down.
Hey, not the first time that that Spagnuolo has carried a team to the playoffs, but just by defense.
But
Just saying that.
I mean, notoriously, in any Andy Reid coach team, the defense is going to be at least solid. So
Right, but
I mean-
even then, we saw in let's say the first championship with them when they still had Tyreek Hill. Their defense maybe slightly above average, nothing special.
yes, in the past 2 years, it's really evolved into.
It really
different type of
has, and I
defense.
think at this point you're seeing you're seeing Travis Kelce regress. He's really not up to snuff for being a number 1 option anymore.
Right.
He hasn't caught a single touchdown this season. We're 4 games in.
Jared Goff has more touchdowns than he does.
Jared Goff has more receive. We'll get to. Actually, I
We'll get
want
to
to
that
get to
later.
that Lions game.
Yes. I mean, yeah, we'll get to that. But I mean,
Yeah, but I mean,
I think, in my opinion, I don't think Xavier Worthy is the type of receiver to be a number 1 receiver.
Worthy's not a number 1 option.
I think he's more of a complementary option. I mean, he's he could run
He's
fast in a straight
Worthy
line.
is more of a luxury. He's a shorter and skinnier version of Tyreek Hill.
He's
to be
Tyreek
honest,
Hill
no.
light that doesn't have the footwork. He is
reminds
fast.
me-
He's so fast.
He reminds me in a lot of ways. I mean, this might not be the best comparison, but he reminds me of he doesn't shed as many tackles. He's faster. He reminds me of the way the 49ers should be using Debo and the way they do use Debo, because in order to keep him healthy. But I'd say hopefully he stays on the field more than Debo. But yeah, you guys were spot on with that though.
And now before we go to the Lions Seahawks game, one thing that we need to talk about is please get Justin Herbert some receivers, man.
Listen,
Please.
we went into this season knowing they wanted to rebuild. Eckler gone. That guy was my first round
Keenan
pick
Allen,
last year. I don't
gone.
even want to talk about Keenan Allen gone. And
Offensive
so
lineman
Mike Williams
drafted.
gone.
and
Joe
so
Alt
we-
added.
Joe Alt.
He's
Listen,
actually ridiculous.
Control Alt Delete has been looking insane
Alt
this
has
year.
Alt has no drip, has zero aura. He's 6'8". That man is immediately a Hall of Famer.
I mean, yeah, for sure.
He put He made Max Crosby his son.
I mean, really. You saw what
Zero
did you
pressure
see what he
allowed.
did against, I believe it was the Steelers?
T.J. Watt. Oh yeah.
Didn't allow anything, really.
Besides one play where he got injured on. That was really it.
Right.
And again, it's T.J. Watt. He's a top 3 edge rusher in the game. I'm not really
And he's
surprised.
been a top 3 edge rusher in the
Since
game.
basically he came up in the league.
Exactly, yeah. But we went into the season expecting absolutely nothing from the Chargers.
Right.
Nothing, really. We knew
It's
we
hard.
knew Josh Allen would have, not Josh Allen, Justin Herbert would have no help.
Yeah, I mean, he still has no hope, so.
He
I don't
still
know.
doesn't.
I don't
No,
know
but
what you got
J.K.
for him.
Dobbins comes in. He pops off like no one expects.
It's a Greg Roman offense.
Quentin Johnson scores 2 TDs.
I-
In like
He
week
did
2.
what?
Quentin
Yeah, he
Johnson.
Who did
scored 2
what?
TDs.
Quentin
Yeah.
Johnson's been doing pretty solid for himself.
He's actually been. I mean,
He's probably been their wide receiver 1.
like you said. I mean, you can't really. I mean, I don't know that I've gotten a legitimate look at Herbert's play style in any game for the past 2 years. I've never been able to see him actually play the way he can.
I don't think I've ever seen Herbert play like the way that he should be playing, even in college. Because
And then the injuries start to come up, and then that's how you lose a talent like he could be capable of.
Because when Herbert was in college, he played in maybe like the most college offense ever. They played spread, and they threw 90% of their passes behind the scrimmage. And another player that throws a lot of their passes behind the line of scrimmage is Jaden Daniels.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we
Well,
want to
We
get
want to
in?
compare Jaden Daniels to Justin Herbert.
I'm not
Listen,
comparing. No. I'm not comparing. I'm not comparing that. I'm just saying the Commanders have a very, very college-like spread
Do
offense.
we want
Cam
to
Taylor
do we
would
want
agree.
to get into what the Commanders have been up to? Because listen, if we're going to talk about 2 of the NFC East teams, we talked about the Giants, we talked about the Cowboys. Maybe we should get into the rest of them. Maybe we talk about the Commanders. Because honestly,
Commanders
no.
look great.
they
look great.
they do. They look amazing. Did you see what they did to the Cardinals?
45-14.
I thought it was 42. Whatever.
42.
Close enough.
42.
All right. So, I mean, listen, Jaden Daniels, he's not the passing force.
I mean,
He's
he
still
hasn't-
not bad either. Let's not
He's
get
not a
that wrong.
bad
he's
passer.
bad,
He-
but he's only. I mean, he hasn't surpassed 254 passing yards in a game yet this season. But I don't.
I mean, again, what
to be fair, that I mean, his completion percentage is historic. I mean,
It's ridiculous.
and again, not the Cardinals. Sorry, the Commanders do not want Daniels to risk a throw if he feels even the slightest bit of pressure, which is why he runs so much.
I mean, he came into the league. We knew he wasn't going to be that passing threat. We knew the rushing upside. We didn't expect him to be this ridiculous this early. We saw it from. We saw him like maybe a Justin Fields max.
Maybe.
Speaking of Justin Fields, he's been doing great for himself this season with the Steelers. But whatever. We saw he had a rushing upside. We saw he was maybe an okay passer. He has exceeded expectations.
Right.
No one. If I told you before the season, Commanders are going to be 3-1 and leading their division right now,
I'd laugh at you.
I'd laugh at
I'd laugh at
myself.
you.
I would laugh at myself. But really,
I mean, with that, I mean, even the defense has been playing better. Like,
I
like
know.
you can't. I mean, if Jaden Daniels could turn around that secondary, I mean, I'm starting to think he could do anything.
My question is how is Emmanuel Forbes playing?
oh man.
He is terrible.
I mean,
Yeah.
they don't have any. Like, they don't have anything back there. It's
I mean,
just,
You know what's weird is that the options on that team, Brian Robinson Jr., Terry McLaurin, they haven't looked bad at all. That's what you need in a quarterback, is to elevate your options.
right.
Tell it to Jalen Hurts.
Let's get started on the Eagles. Why don't we?
Nick Sirianni-
We've talked about
Nick
three.
Sirianni
We've
is
talked about
horrible.
Hey, all I
three,
could say is
three NFC
Baker-
East teams. Let's get to the fourth.
Baker loves playing against the Eagles, man.
Baker Mayfield owns the Eagles, and as
Nick
an Eagles
Sirianni,
fan, it
30
hurts me so much
30
to say.
What was it, 33-14?
It was 33-16.
Nick
16,
Sirianni
yeah.
is a terrible head coach, and he should be. And if the Eagles were smart, he would be fired after Sunday's game. But luckily, since the Eagle is, they have an front office, he has not been fired yet. So the Eagles' downfall will continue, and I'm all here for it.
Listen, they've played. They went into this week, honestly expecting a win. We saw whoa. We saw what they did to the Eagles last year, but we also saw that they've played in 3 games this season. They were 2-1, all of them being less than a touchdown games. We didn't expect Baker Mayfield to come in and dog walk the Eagles like that. It's insane, and I am very, very shocked. But hey, you know what?
Hey, man, I mean, Baker Mayfield was the #1 overall pick for a reason.
Man, Baker Mayfield has been looking absolutely absurd so far.
I mean, again, like I said, he was the #1 pick for a reason. I mean,
Yeah, but even then, he didn't really show it until like the past couple seasons.
and to be fair, he was put on a team that did not win a game, that only won 1 game through 2 seasons. So I don't really know how that's his fault. And again, Baker Mayfield put up great numbers through 3 head coaches, and it is just the fact that he rushed back from injury because he wanted to help his team, mind you, because he stunk. I'm telling you, if the Browns waited another season, he would still be on that team, and Deshaun Watson would not have a job. I'm telling you this right now.
Man, Deshaun Watson's a whole different story.
We'll get to that later.
That's right. We will.
We
will
will
not
not.
get into that. Actually, we do not condone anything Deshaun Watson does at all. Well, I mean, other than his off the field stuff,
Yeah,
we're not going to get into it.
No, we're definitely not. We're definitely not. Okay, let's get away from that topic. So, as I mentioned earlier, Travis Kelce has less receiving touchdowns than Jared Goff, who had a historic performance yesterday and going 18 for 18, not
It's like
missing a single pass.
262 yards,
A receiving touchdown. Which
2 passing touchdowns
Who
too.
thought that would happen?
I mean, listen, the Seahawks go into this 3-0. They're on top of the world. They know generally that the Lions have a good offense. First off, Gibbs and Montgomery is looking like arguably the best running back room in the league right now. We thought Gibbs was going to be far and away the #1 option. We thought Montgomery was taking a step back.
And
that didn't happen.
In my opinion, splitting carries is best for both running backs because no set running back can get a large amount of carries, therefore injuring themselves. Therefore, they might not get the carries that they should be getting carries. For example, Jahmyr Gibbs should be getting a lot more carries than David Montgomery, but it saves him and it allows him to become more explosive, therefore allowing more yards and more touchdowns.
Right, for sure. Jahmyr Gibbs is one of the most explosive running backs in the game right now. You can see it in his highlights. You can see it in any game that he plays in. Some of his carries, I don't know how he does it. He turns on jets and just blink of an eye, he's gone.
He's been basically what people expected Bijan Robinson to be. I mean, again, Falcons, I don't know really what they're doing. I don't really care. They're not exactly a good team. Kyle Pitts still is not putting a production that you want
0
him to.
receptions, 0 yards.
I don't know how people okay, this is a bit off topic, but I don't know how people still fall for drafting Kyle Pitts in fantasy in 2024. I don't understand that.
We should have an entire section dedicated just to fantasy because there are a lot of things that I have to talk about that.
Went 0-5 this week, last week, by the way. 2 weeks in a row. 0-5.
Oh, this guy. Well, anyway, so one important thing I'd like to bring up is the Seahawks didn't do bad that game at all.
It's just the Lions are just that good.
The Lions are such a ridiculous offensive team. We saw glimpses of that.
Geno Smith also looked
went
fantastic.
insane. He led the league in passing yards that week.
Did you see some of the throws that he was making in those tight windows?
Oh yeah.
I mean, Geno Smith it will be a serviceable QB for whatever team that picks him up if he does not re-sign with the Seahawks this year. But he was making some great throws in some tight windows.
Right. Geno Smith is back. Speaking of quarterbacks that are back, Minnesota Vikings.
Sam Darnold, baby.
Sam
MVP
Darnold
favorite.
has been looking like an MVP right now, which is ridiculous to say.
I mean, hey, if you said Geno Smith and if you said Geno Smith, Sam Darnold, and
Baker Mayfield.
not Baker Mayfield, who was in the league. What's his name? And Jared Goff were all MVP favorites in 2017, I'd believe you. But that is 7 years later, we are hearing those names be MVP favorites. That is ridiculous.
Real MVP favorites right now are it's so weird seeing your MVP favorites being Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold,
Geno Smith, and Jared Goff.
Jared Goff.
Ridiculous.
Looking absurd, honestly.
And hey, I was one of the people who thought the Vikings were going to be absolutely terrible this year. I mean, your rookie quarterback goes down. You probably weren't going to play him regardless.
You're expecting a backup guy to come in and really just maybe hope to go 2-2.
I mean, hey, this is the perks of going from a Shanahan offense to a Kevin O'Connell offense. Two offenses that are very, very quarterback friendly. I mean, look what Minnesota did to Kirk Cousins, and look what Shanahan has done to Brock Purdy. I mean,
okay. There's something about the 49ers that I really can't stand at this point. They are possibly the greatest system in the league. Really, you can slap anyone in there. You could probably slap Daniel Jones in there. He finished top 10 in MVP.
No. You want to know why I say that? Because Jimmy G is better than Daniel Jones, and Jimmy G sucked in that offense.
They didn't use him right.
Okay, all right. One thing that I do say Daniel Jones does has over. I don't know why we're.
We're not going back to Daniel Jones. This guy's terrible.
Okay, again, I'm not a Daniel Jones fan, but I will say this: his wide receivers did sell him that game. They had 7 drops that game. 7.
Yeah, just make better passes. Well,
he threw some okay. He threw some absolute dots at the end. It's just they dropped him. I'm telling you.
Yep.
You did not watch that game, and I can tell. I mean, again, you weren't really missing much, but
I didn't want to watch that game, to be honest with you.
Why did you then?
Well, why did I?
Yeah.
Because these are 2 division rivals. I want to see them duke it out, you know.
Division rivals. They haven't beat. The Giants have not beat the Cowboys since Dak Prescott has entered the league.
Oh, no, I'm talking about my division rivals. As an Eagles fan, I want to watch these guys.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Oh, my God. Quiet about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I know they own us. But despite that, Saquon's been looking amazing for them. And I know it's sad to hear. But when he's put under an actual good O-line, he's looking like the best running back in the league.
Okay, Evan, I have a question.
What's going on? Talk to me.
So, as you know, tomorrow's a tag day. Do I wear a baseball jersey or do I wear my old Saquon Barkley jersey, but instead of having Barkley, I write Singletary on it? Should I do that?
I think, personally, you should not disrespect Saquon by...
No, I can disrespect him all I want.
By associating him with the team like the New York Giants.
No, I think I can disrespect him because he played for my team for 6 years. I can do whatever the hell I want with my jersey. I bought that jersey with my money. I can do whatever the hell I want.
All right. Well, you know what? If we're on the topic of New York teams, what happened to the Jets, man?
Nick, you want to speak on this?
Yeah, no, get a mic. Talk about it.
How do you lose to the Broncos?
Well,
10-9.
Talk to us.
Yeah, it was catastrophic.
Yeah, Bo Nix had -7 passing yards going into the half. How do you allow that to happen?
I couldn't care about Bo Nix at all. The fact that we have, 12 penalties? I don't, probably 14. I think it was 14 penalties.
What, are you
12
playing
accepted.
the Chiefs?
Yeah.
Felt like it.
14 penalties, 12 accepted was ridiculous. It's the most uncoached, inept team ever. It's a shame because there's so much talent on this Jets roster.
Is it safe to say that Saleh is on the hot seat?
Safe to say is an understatement. I mean, right now we're at a point where if the New York Jets don't make a trade for Devontae Adams and Robert Saleh, and if Robert Saleh goes basically like 2-3 down this 5-game stretch,
he's getting fired.
I would hope
he should have been fired after last year.
Joe Douglas, for some reason, has this asphyxiation with Robert Saleh that keeps him. I mean, they're both not that good.
They both reek. Not to mention the Hassan Reddick situation is still going on, and he's actually considering returning to the Eagles.
It's ridiculous. I don't care. I mean, I've given up on it. If we trade Hassan Reddick for Devontae Adams, I mean, then I'm happy. That's the best he's ever done for a Jet uniform, and he could on the field. I mean, but still, I mean, the situation with the Jets right now is actually a big problem just because of how poorly coached they are. I mean,
are we really surprised though?
No. This was the one thing.
Jets management being inept.
And the problem that we've got ourselves in is that although Nathaniel Hackett has picked it up recently, he's still not great. And we've got ourselves into a point where if we decided to let him go, Rodgers is walking because Rodgers is basically the leadership. No, maybe he's washed, but he's also the leadership of this team and probably has more of a voice than Robert Saleh. Because who cares about Robert Saleh?
That's a good point.
He's a 49ers reject at this point.
Very good point.
Robert Saleh is a defensive coordinator and a defensive coordinator only. And even then, he's not looked good.
And our defense isn't looking great. I would be happy if our interim head coach was Jeff Ulbrich, our DC right now, because he's actually been doing fine.
What's very interesting about the Jets in general is that the guys projected to be their best offensive weapons. You know what they've done this year?
What have they done?
Jack.
Nothing.
Well,
Diddly squat.
diddly squat is right. You saw Brees Hall.
3 points in fantasy is crazy.
Brees Hall goes into this year looking like a top 3 running back, like a top 2 running. Okay, top 3. We'll go top 3. And then you see Garrett Wilson, who's maybe an arguably top 10 receiver who's never had a good quarterback. He gets a good quarterback. He gets a 40-year-old Aaron Rodgers who's not the MVP he used to be, but he's still very good.
I fell for the Garrett Wilson hype.
The problem that we have right now, not that Brees Hall has had a pretty boring year and hasn't done much, but the fact that we have a 6'5", 250 or whatever he is, running back in Braylon Allen that is meant for the third down situation.
Hold on. He's what?
Probably not 6, probably like 6'4", 230, but still, that's huge. The fact that we have a running back like that, the fact that the New York Jets have a running back like that, and we have 4th and 1 on the 1-yard line, down, we're probably tied, honestly. And we don't put in Braylon Allen is a huge problem. That's a problem.
Dude is
sure, Brees Hall is good. Brees Hall can break off a long run. What do we need him in the red zone for? There's no point.
Dude,
the coaching is inept.
Allen is oh my, dude, he's not even 21 yet, and he's 6'1".
Yeah, he's the youngest player in the NFL too, and he's so good.
6'1", 236. Speaking of youngin,
Ryan Williams.
Ryan Williams.
Oh my God, we're not getting into college football. Listen,
it's 3:42.
We might have to wrap up and get ready for volleyball soon. Please stay tuned for that. But there are a couple more things I want to mention. The Saints looked like the best team in the league through the first 2 weeks. They lose their next 2. Rashid Shaheed is terrible. I don't want to hear anything else. Derek Carr almost looked perfect, and then he crumbles.
I mean, it's like this every season.
One question that I want to close on. Would Ryan Williams be a better receiver than Rashid Shaheed right now?
Is that even a question? Yes. I mean, this man is the same age, if not younger, than some of the people in our school.
Yeah.
That he should be in high school.
Shout out to my good friend Joe Grande,
and
who's
Daniel
the same
Quiros.
age
And Daniel Quiros.
same age as Ryan Williams. One of them is out here frying English tests. The other one's out here frying SEC defenses.
All right.
Let alone that play. He fried Keon Stab. Keon Stab was a 5-star recruit. He was the best safety prospect in the country.
Isn't he a true safety?
Yeah.
A true freshman, I mean?
I don't even know what he is, but I know I think he was a Michigan commit, and then he blew it. But it is 3:43. I could go on about Ryan Williams for an hour. I could go on about the Jets until 7. But
Couple more things I want to bring up. Andy Dalton might bring the Panthers back to maybe 4 wins.
He's him.
I mean, yeah, no, he's a great guy.
You know, maybe.
Imagine how funny it would be if Andy Dalton screwed the Panthers out of the first pick again. And
please let that happen. Please let that happen.
What do you care? What do you care about the Panthers?
He needs.
Oh, I want to.
He needs the Giants to get the first pick because they are horrendous.
They reek. And if they pick Shadur Sanders or Carson Beck with the #1 pick, I'm going to lose it. I will lose my mind if that happens.
A couple more things.
You're not on perfect timing.
Has Joe Flacco become an all-time backup guy? Listen,
he's
last
he's
year,
a new Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Last year,
he's better than Fitzpatrick.
Last year, the Browns have nobody. Joe Flacco comes in, wins 3-4 games. Oh my, no one expects it. Then the Colts, they don't look good this year. A-Rich goes down. He comes in, wins the game for them.
Okay, another thing about Anthony Richardson is it time to say that he kind of stinks?
No.
He is just so horribly inconsistent.
He is one of the greatest raw talents in the league right now. However,
if he's coached
he is nothing more than a raw talent. He needs to perfect his game.
He's like a player on Madden that has the superstar ability, but you have to go and find it. He's
so like on Madden
if you want to put it in college football terms, he is a 5-star recruit, probably the best recruit in the country, probably breaking the scale, probably like 1.018.
Like Quinn Ewers did that one.
But he could also fall off insanely bad. I mean, there's so many things. Like Keon Stab, who got fried by a 17-year-old.
And one more thing I would like to add before we wrap up. What are the Bengals doing, man?
I don't even know.
I mean, listen, Joe Burrow hasn't even looked bad this year. Joe Burrow is back. However, this is looking like one of the worst defenses in the league right now. Really. Anything you'd like to add about that, Parm?
I mean, yeah, one of my good friends actually. He is a Bengals fan.
Oh,
and I don't know why you're talking. You're an Eagles fan.
Go Birds.
And Northeastern New Jersey, mind you. Anyways, he is a Bengals fan, and he says that what happened in 2021 kind of screwed them up because Zach Taylor's not a very good head coach.
Listen, Joe Burrow will never – listen, Joe Burrow, he had an underwhelming first week. He sucked against the Patriots. Then he starts to come back a little bit. He's been performing up to what people expected him to perform in the last 2 weeks. And I've never been happier to see it. Well, and one more thing I would like to add about the NFL in general. Was last year's Texans maybe a little bit fraudulent?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
They do
cannot.
not.
You can't put your faith in C.J. Stroud, and you can't trust Stephon Diggs, who is giving Antonio Brown a run for his money.
They don't look. Listen, they don't look bad this year, but
They don't look great either.
you've got
They're going to sneak into the wild card.
you've got a guy coming into the league, number 2 overall. I mean, you're looking at him going under Bryce Young. He pops off. What is it? 12? What was it? A 12-wing team? I don't even know. But he comes in this year. He's looking like a top 5 QB. He's looking like he's got the best receiver room in the league. What is he now? 1-3? Dude.
I mean, to be fair though, all of the NFL's supposed top contenders have looked terrible.
Except the Chiefs. They're still 4-0.
No, they look terrible.
They look terrible. They
they-
haven't lost a game. It doesn't really matter.
They are worshippers of something. What, I don't know.
I couldn't tell you. Well, that might be all the time we have today for In the Vault. Thank you so much for coming on and joining us. We will be back in I want to say about 15 minutes with girls volleyball. Stay tuned.